Grandpa Ned had survived 3 wars, 2 heart attacks, and 1 particularly vicious mother-in-law, but nothing, absolutely nothing, had prepared him for seeing his own face plastered on a poster at his grandson's wedding with the words, "Do not allow entry," stamped across it in angry red letters. The morning of Tommy's wedding started like any other Saturday for 78-year-old Ned Morrison. He woke at 5:47 a.m. without an alarm, a habit from his Navy days that never quite left him, made himself 2 eggs sunny side up, and sat in his favorite armchair reading the newspaper while his ancient tabby cat, Admiral, purred on his lap. Ned had been looking forward to this day for months. His grandson Tommy, the spitting image of Ned's late son Marcus, was finally tying the knot. The boy had grown up so fast. Ned could still remember teaching him to ride a bike, to fish, to tie a proper Windsor knot. Marcus would have been so proud. The ceremony was at 2 o'clock at the Riverside Estate, one of those fancy venues with white columns and manicured gardens that cost more than Ned's first house. He'd pressed his navy suit the night before, polished his shoes until they gleamed, and even trimmed his mustache, though he'd left it bushier than his late wife Helen would have liked. "You look like a walrus, Ned," she used to say with that smile that made his heart skip. God, he missed that woman. Ned arrived at the venue at 1:30 p.m. sharp, because Morrisons were never late. The estate was even more beautiful in person, with roses climbing up trellises and fairy lights strung between the trees despite the afternoon sun. He could see guests already mingling on the lawn, champagne flutes catching the light. But as Ned approached the entrance, his polished shoes crunching on the gravel drive, he noticed something odd. The young woman at the welcome table, one of the bridesmaids, by her coral-colored dress, kept glancing at a piece of paper, then at the arriving guests, then back at the paper. When she saw Ned, her eyes widened. "I'm sorry, sir, but I need to check something," she said, her voice tight with discomfort. She picked up a walkie-talkie. "We have a situation at the front entrance." "Situation?" Ned chuckled. "I'm just here for my grandson's wedding, Miss Tommy Morrison. I'm his grandfather." The bridesmaid's face went pale. Within seconds, another woman appeared, older, wearing a burgundy dress that screamed, "Mother of the bride." Her expression was cold enough to freeze hell itself. "Mr. Morrison," she said, not quite meeting his eyes, "I'm afraid there's been a misunderstanding." "What kind of misunderstanding?" Ned asked, his smile fading. That's when he saw it. Behind the welcome table, partially hidden by an oversized flower arrangement, was a poster board. And on that poster board was his face, his military portrait from 40 years ago, to be precise, with bold text beneath it, "Edward Ned Morrison, do not allow entry, notify bride immediately if seen." The world seemed to tilt on its axis. "What in God's name is that?" Ned's voice came out as barely a whisper. The woman in burgundy, he assumed this was Clarissa, the bride's mother, straightened her shoulders. "Mr. Morrison, my daughter Veronica has made it very clear that you are not welcome at this wedding. I'm going to have to ask you to leave." "Not welcome?" Ned felt like he'd been punched in the gut. "This is my grandson's wedding. I helped raise that boy after his father died. I don't make the rules, Mr. Morrison. Veronica has her reasons, and we respect her wishes on her special day." "What reasons? I've never even met Veronica. I only spoke to her on the phone twice." Clarissa's jaw tightened. "That's not what she's told us. Now please, let's not make a scene. Leave quietly, and we can all pretend this didn't happen." But Ned Morrison hadn't survived 78 years by pretending things didn't happen. His hands were shaking, whether from anger or hurt, he couldn't tell, but his voice was steady. "I want to talk to Tommy, right now. The groom is getting ready and cannot be disturbed. Get him now, or I swear I'll walk into that venue and you'll have the scene you're so worried about." Something in Ned's eyes must have convinced her, because Clarissa spoke sharply into a walkie-talkie. 5 agonizing minutes later, Tommy appeared, looking uncomfortable in his tuxedo. His hair was gelled within an inch of its life, and he couldn't quite meet Ned's eyes. "Gramps," Tommy said weakly, "Tommy, what is going on? Why is my picture up there like I'm some kind of criminal?" Tommy's face flushed red. Look, Gramps, Veronica she has some concerns. What concerns? I don't even know the girl. She found some stuff online, about you, about the things you said. Ned's mind raced. What things? Tommy, I barely use the computer except to email you and look up the weather. Tommy pulled out his phone, his hands shaking slightly. He showed Ned a Facebook profile, Edward Morrison from Ohio, filled with racist rants, conspiracy theories, and vile comments. The profile picture was grainy, but resembled Ned. That's not me, Ned's voice cracked. Tommy, you know me, you know I would never. I told her it couldn't be you, but she wouldn't listen. She said she couldn't risk having someone with those views at her wedding. It would make a statement or whatever, and her parents are paying for everything, so… Tommy trailed off, looking miserable. So you just went along with it. You're letting them ban your own grandfather from your wedding based on some fake Facebook profile. Gramps, I love her. I can't call off the wedding over this. Can't you just, I don't know, come to the reception later once she's calmed down? Ned looked at his grandson, this boy he'd helped raise, taught to be a man, loved like his own son, and felt something break inside his chest. Not anger, though there was plenty of that. It was disappointment, deep and profound. Tommy, Ned said quietly, your father would be ashamed of you right now. Tommy flinched, as if slapped. I raised you to stand up for what's right, to stand up for family. But here you are, letting your bride ban me based on a lie you don't even believe, and you won't even fight for me. Gramps, please. No, Ned held up his hand. I love you, Tommy, I always will, but I won't beg to be at a wedding where I'm not wanted. When you grow a spine and decide to be a man instead of a doormat, you know where to find me. Ned turned and walked back to his car, each step feeling like a mile. Behind him, he could hear Tommy calling his name, but he didn't stop. His vision was blurry. From age, he told himself, definitely not from tears. He sat in his car for a long moment, hands gripping the steering wheel before pulling out his own phone. It took him several tries. His hands were still shaking, but he managed to pull up Facebook and search for that profile. Edward Morrison from Ohio. The fake account was still there, spewing hatred. Then Ned did something that surprised even himself. He took a screenshot, opened his email, and sent it to the local news station with a simple message. Identity theft ruined my grandson's wedding. Fake social media profiles are destroying families. 3 days later, a reporter named Jennifer Coe called him. She was young, energetic, and furious on his behalf. Mr. Morrison, this is exactly the kind of story we need to tell. People don't realize how easy it is for someone to steal your identity online and destroy your reputation. The story aired the following week. Local veteran banned from grandson's wedding due to fake Facebook profile. Jennifer had done her homework, showing Ned's real social media footprint nearly non-existent compared to the fake account. She interviewed cybersecurity experts, showed how the fake profile used an AI-enhanced version of Ned's old military photo and had even tracked down the real person behind the account. A troll farm in Eastern Europe creating fake profiles for political propaganda. The story went viral. Ned's phone started ringing off the hook. Old Navy buddies, neighbors, people from church, the veterans of foreign wars post where he volunteered, everyone was outraged on his behalf. But the one call that mattered came 4 days after the story aired. Gramps, Tommy's voice was thick with emotion. I saw the news. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I know you are, son. Veronica saw it too. She's devastated. She feels terrible. We both do. Her mom found that profile and just ran with it, and Veronica trusted her, and I should have fought harder for you. Dad would have fought harder. Yes, Ned said simply, he would have. There was a long pause. Is there any way, I know we can't undo what happened, but would you want to meet Veronica? Let us apologize properly, maybe have dinner. Ned closed his eyes, thinking of Helen. She always said forgiveness wasn't about letting people off the hook. It was about not letting bitterness poison your own heart. Dinner, Ned said finally. But Tommy, next time someone tells you something about your family, you verify it yourself before you believe it, and you sure as hell fight for them. Yes, sir, I promise. 2 weeks later, Ned sat across from Tommy and Veronica at a small Italian restaurant. Veronica had been crying before he even arrived, and she started again the moment she saw him. Mr. Morrison, I am so sorry. I should have checked. I should have asked to meet you. I should have. Should have trusted your husband, Ned interrupted gently. Should have trusted that a man you love wouldn't have a grandfather like that. Veronica nodded, wiping her eyes. Can you ever forgive me? Ned thought about it for a moment, really thought about it. Then he smiled, a real smile this time. You want to know what my wife Helen used to say? She said everyone gets one really stupid mistake in life. One colossal screw-up that you learn from. Consider this yours. They talked for 3 hours that night. Ned learned that Veronica worked with kids with special needs, that she'd been terrified of bringing any negative energy into her wedding, that her mother had a tendency to take control of situations. Ned told stories about Tommy's father, about Helen, about his own stupid mistakes over the years. As they left the restaurant, Veronica hugged him tight. Would you want to come over for Sunday dinner? Every week, I'd love to learn more about the Morrison family. Our future kids should know their great-grandfather. Ned's eyes got misty again, but this time for a better reason. I'd like that very much. 6 months later, Ned's doorbell rang. When he opened it, Tommy and Veronica stood there, dressed up and smiling. Gramps, Tommy said, we're renewing our vows, small ceremony, just family, and this time you're walking Veronica down the aisle. Me, Ned blinked. What about your father? Veronica smiled. He'll walk me halfway, but I want you to walk me the rest of the way to make up for what we did, to start fresh. As Ned stood in his freshly pressed suit a month later, Veronica's hand on his arm, walking her toward his grandson under an arch of flowers, he thought about how strange life was. How one photograph, one misunderstanding, one moment of weakness could almost destroy everything. But also how love, real love, family love, could survive even the worst mistakes. Thank you, Veronica whispered as they walked, for giving us another chance. Ned patted her hand. That's what family does, sweetheart. We fight, we forgive, and we keep showing up. And as he placed Veronica's hand in Tommy's, seeing the love and respect in his grandson's eyes, Ned Morrison knew that some things, some people, were worth fighting for. Even if you had to start by walking away first.